Hello, you wonderful people. Welcome to another episode of Nerd Mode. This being a show where I introduce you to a series that you may or may not be familiar with. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Netflix original series, Luke Cage. Like always, this isn't a review, it's just me talking about a series that I really like that I recommend you check out for yourself. Luke Cage is an action sci-fi crime drama about Luke Cage, a man with unbreakable skin and a rather forgotten past. Simply wanting to live a normal and quiet life, Luke is forced to step up after a series of events, which involves crossing paths with Cornell Stokes, aka Cottonmouth, though he really doesn't like being called Cottonmouth, as well as his unsavory associates as they try and take control of Harlem for their own means. But things won't be easy for the hero of Harlem as he steps into the spotlight. His past comes back to haunt him, and even his unbreakable skin might not be enough to save him. The series takes place after his role in season 1 of Jessica Jones. As I mentioned earlier, Luke's past plays a big part in the series. That includes how he actually met Reva, as well as how he got his powers in the first place. Luke is literally the definition of a reluctant hero. Now, not as much as Jessica Jones, but still. His story takes some interesting turns. No big spoilers, but let's just say things don't always play out well for Luke. This series was also the first where Claire played an even bigger role as an ally to Luke. Easily one of his most consistent allies in many regards. Now, if you want to know what that exactly means, well, watch the show and find out. It's also very interesting considering the fact that they only met very briefly in Jessica Jones. So this was the first series where I was like, whoa, Claire's going to be in all of the shows, isn't she? That's so cool. Because after this show, she played a pretty big role in Iron Fist as well. I also like the dynamic between Luke and Detective Mercedes Knight, aka Misty. From how they first met to them throughout the first season, it's quite fascinating. She plays the role of an ally in some occasions and an enemy in others. Not in a bad guy type of way, more of like a detective just trying to uphold the law and do her job type of way. She doesn't trust Luke and Luke doesn't trust her. It's also interesting to see other characters' progression too, like Mariah, Cornell, aka Cottonmouth's cousin. She takes all the money that he gets from his, more criminal activities and tries to put it back into the community. I will say I do like the progression of her story. Another is Cottonmouth himself. I kind of have sort of like a love-hate relationship when it comes to him. Don't get me wrong, I really like the character. He's a really good opposite to Luke, a very good villain. But let's just say that his character story basically progresses other character stories as well as introduces like one of the other big villains in the season, which I like, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it undersells his character. I did a little bit of research on his character in the comic books, who is very different in certain aspects, which obviously I won't get into. There are things in season 1 that make me think there is some wiggle room to kind of make him more like he is in the comics. Ultimately, that will be determined by what direction they decide to take the series going forward. Personally, I'd like to see that type of continuation for his character. I think it'd be neat. Earlier, I said that this series is sci-fi, which it is when it comes to certain aspects like how Luke got his powers, as well as other things that come up that obviously I won't get too deep into because, spoiler reasons. There are things in the first season that make you see where they could really push the sci-fi angle going forward, especially when it comes to characters. I kind of alluded to that earlier. Exactly like everybody else, Luke Cage's story continued in The Defenders. Once again, if you have not seen The Defenders, change that immediately. Luke Cage has been renewed for a second season. At the time of me recording this, no official date has been announced, but really that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.